unexpected, but welcome. So, I wanted to chat with you today just for a few minutes about how alternative health ruined my health. And I know what you're thinking is, Megan, you're a crazy person because you are in alternative health. So, I want to explain this for you. So, basically, let me just tell you a story. So 9 years ago, it was Halloween night. I had a 2-year-old at the time. My oldest was 2, and I was 8 months pregnant with my daughter. We'd gone trick or treating. We were in bed, and I woke up having a panic attack. And if you've ever had a panic attack, like, you know how horrible this can be. And this was like top of the charts. This was off the charts. It was so bad, and I had no idea what was happening. And I woke up my husband and I said, you've got to go get Seth, who's my son. I was like, you have to go get him. I'm dying. I have to say goodbye. Okay, so obviously I didn't die. We went to the emergency room that night. We were there for hours. They were running all these tests, and basically they sent us out the door and said nothing was wrong with me, and that they gave my husband a number to a suicide hotline. So helpful. So I came home determined as ever to figure out what was going on in my body and how to fix it, because I had a 2-year-old and I was about to have a baby, and this wasn't me. I was always a really happy person. Like, dealing with this kind of stuff was never, I wasn't okay with it. And so started the years and years of years of researching and reading and digging and trying to figure out what was wrong with me. And I was reading books and I was reading blogs, and I started stressing about everything. I was stressing about the chlorine in my baby carrots, and I was stressing about, the chemicals. Like, if I went to Target, the fluorescent lighting and the chemicals in somebody else's perfume. And I just felt so disempowered. And like, I was just this victim. For years I didn't go to a restaurant because I was afraid of, the vegetable oil like in my food. And, I was so stressed out all the time. And, I'm going to doctors and chiropractors and naturopaths, and I'm reading and researching, and I am literally what felt like by the day getting sicker and sicker and sicker. So over this, like, about 5 years of when I went from having a panic attack and having anxiety to going into basically full-blown autoimmune disease. And this was the whole time while I was trying to be healthy. I was not out eating McDonald's. I was not, I was trying to do everything I could to be healthy and to be better. And it was totally backfiring on me. And I was trying to figure out, like, how am I doing everything right and nothing is working? Like, why am I eating this great, perfect diet and I'm just like, my health is failing me? And I was so frustrated. And I had this moment. I was out on my back porch, and my husband, I remember this like it was yesterday. It was one of those like lightning strike, days, those moments that just change your life forever. And I was out on the back porch. My husband was doing yard work, and my kids were playing, and I was sitting there most likely reading, a diet book or something, like trying to figure out why I was still sick and looking for an answer. And all of a sudden I realized, it just hit me like a lightning bolt, was I know exactly why I'm not better. And really, it was at the core, I really believe something's wrong with me. And if you believe something is wrong with you and that there's something that needs to be fixed, then you can never be well. And I realized that it was all of this stress and fear that I was letting into my life from alternative health that was creating this belief system in me. So again, I went from just trying to figure out these panic attacks to sicker and sicker and sicker and sicker, and then bam, autoimmune disease. And I realized what was happening on this journey was every day I was exposing myself to fear. So there are so many amazing gems and amazing people in alternative health. But the problem is that almost everything is wrapped up in fear, all of it. Because unfortunately, fear sells. If you feel scared that something is wrong, you're probably going to buy something to fix it. And that's really an issue in alternative health. Despite, really great dietary principles out there, there's really great people trying to do great things with amazing intention. But if it's creating fear and stress in your body, you're not getting better. You're actually going the other way. So I would open up a book and it would tell me, if you eat this, you're going to have obesity and cancer and diabetes and heart disease and you're going to die early. Well, that makes me feel really stressed out. And so the next time I happen to be at a friend's house or at a restaurant and I eat some of that, what's happening in my body? Like a massive stress response kicks in. And, all of that happens. And then I, don't feel good. And then it's this whole horrible cycle where fear creates stress and stress creates disease. And so if you are exposing yourself to, if it's on social media or if it's the news or if it's books or whatever it is, it doesn't matter where it's coming from. If it's things that make you feel stressed and if it's things that put you in fear mode, you're not getting well, period. No matter how great your intentions are, no matter how great your diet is, if you are living in fear and you are living in stress, your body is going to have to compensate for that, and it's going to start giving you symptoms and giving you these little message signals to tell you, I don't feel good, something's off, I need help. And so that is really how alternative health ruined my health. And at that moment when I was, sitting on that back porch and I had this realization, that day I just said, okay, two things here. I'm not broken. There's nothing wrong with me. And I'm going to start living my life like there's nothing wrong with me. I'm going to eat and breathe and live and think like a healthy person now. And two, I'm going to filter out all this stuff. So unliking people on Facebook, taking books, donating stuff that was just riddled in fear, like all of that was out. And now granted, I still adhere to some dietary principles that I feel like are good for me, that work for my body. We don't have toxic chemicals in my home. We still do all of that, but it's out of self-respect and self-love, not out of fear. And I don't expose myself to people or things or books or media that make me feel scared. So that is kind of like what you need to do next time you're reading something. If you start to feel stressed out, if you start to think, oh my gosh, like what's the next thing I need to cut out of my diet, or what chemical am I going to go, to a restaurant and ingest and I'm going to die, like, and you can feel that anxiety coming up in your chest, or you can feel, your little like fists clench because you're stressed out. You're not getting well. That's not good. You need to walk away from that. But if you read something or expose yourself to someone or something that makes you feel like, okay, I got this, I'm good, your shoulders relax, you feel inspired, you feel enlivened, then go for it. That is something good for you. And so, so that's if anybody's on and has questions, let me know. That was just kind of a little thought I had this morning was, oh my gosh, there's so much fear in alternative health, and it drives me bonkers because there's so many people looking for answers, and there's so many people that have great answers, but they're making, it's all just covered in fear, and it's riddled with stress, and it makes everybody sick, and it drives me crazy. So hopefully this was helpful to you. Let me know, and we will talk soon. I don't think anybody has questions. If you do, just find me in the private Facebook group and I will answer your questions there. Have a good weekend.